Welcome to Tales by ThankGod. Today's story is titled, Don't Blame the Gods. Let's dive into it. Long ago, in the prosperous kingdom of Ifeoba, a decree was made that no twins should live. They were seen as abominations, their births considered a sign of treason against the gods. Any family found guilty of birthing twins was punished, often through execution. This decree had ruled the kingdom for generations, a tradition unquestioned by kings or subjects alike. The queen, revered as the mother of the nation, had borne no child for many years. Her barrenness brought her ridicule and concern, for without an heir, the kingdom's future hung in uncertainty. The king summoned herbalists from far and wide. They brewed concoctions and performed countless rituals. Sorcerers offered charms and promises, but none bore fruit. The queen remained childless, and the kingdom began to falter. Crops failed, rivers dried, and whispers of discontent grew louder. Desperate, the queen abandoned her pride and visited a small missionary church in the outskirts of the kingdom. It was a place shunned by many for its foreign ways, but the queen's desperation outweighed her fear of public scorn. There, she knelt and prayed with all her heart. To her astonishment, her prayers were answered, and months later, she conceived. When the day of delivery came, joy turned to terror. The midwife trembled as she presented the queen with her children, twins, a boy and a girl. Paul and Paulina. The queen's heart swelled with love, but her joy was quickly smothered by dread. The decree that had existed for generations now stood to claim her own children. To save their lives, the queen made a heartbreaking decision. She gave the girl, Paulina, to the midwife and ordered her to take the child far away. Paul, the boy, was brought home and declared the kingdom's prince. Paulina, on the other hand, was adopted by a servant maid traveling to another kingdom, where she grew up as a princess, cherished and loved, never knowing her true origins. A tragic reunion. 25 years passed. Paul grew into a strong and charismatic prince, groomed to inherit his father's throne. Paulina blossomed into a beautiful and intelligent princess in her adoptive kingdom. The two kingdoms had grown prosperous and sought to solidify their bond through marriage. When the two royal families met, Paul and Paulina were introduced as potential partners. Drawn to each other's charm and unaware of their shared blood, they quickly fell in love. Their union was celebrated, and they were married in a grand ceremony that symbolized peace and unity. A year later, the couple had a child, a beautiful boy. But soon after his birth, calamity struck. Crops withered, livestock died, and sickness spread across both kingdoms. Markets emptied, and the people grew restless. Priests, sorcerers, and elders sought answers but found none. It wasn't until the chief priest of Ifeoba performed a sacred ritual that the truth was revealed. Standing before the two kings, the priest's voice trembled as he proclaimed, "An abomination has taken place. 25 years ago, the gods were defied when twins were separated and spared. Those twins have now married and birthed a child, bringing the wrath of the gods upon us." The room fell silent as realization dawned. The queen, now aged and frail, wept openly, confessing the truth. Paul and Paulina, devastated, realized their love was forbidden, a cruel twist of fate crafted by their parents' desperate attempts to save them. The price of redemption. The priest declared that the gods demanded a sacrifice. The child born of the union must die to cleanse the land. Both kingdoms erupted in chaos. Paul and Paulina pleaded for another way, but the gods' decree was final. The king of Ifeoba, torn by guilt and duty, ordered the child's execution. On the appointed day, the child was taken to the sacred grove, where the priest performed the ritual. As the child's life was taken, the skies cleared, rains returned, and the lands began to heal. The kingdoms mourned, but they also learned. The suffering caused by the killing of twins and the secrecy surrounding their birth had led to unimaginable tragedy. The king abolished the decree, declaring that twins were no longer a curse but a blessing. The aftermath. Paul and Paulina, broken by grief, returned to their separate lives. The kingdoms rebuilt, their prosperity restored, but the scars of the past lingered. The queen spent her remaining years in solitude, praying for forgiveness from the gods and her children. From that day forward, Ifeoba and its neighboring kingdoms vowed to honor life in all its forms. The tale of Paul and Paulina became a cautionary story, a reminder that it was not the gods who cursed the land but the cruelty and ignorance of men. And so, the kingdom learned a painful lesson: don't blame the gods for the consequences of human folly.